Attractive Central. We're in the studio here with on the TV Randy show Williams, who is the founder and CEO of Keiretsu Form, and
bleach blonde guy.
The bleach blonde guy. That is. Welcome to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host. Here's our format. A bunch of guys sitting around a bar. There's no bar. Having drinks. There's no drinks either. But we're talking business, and you, the audience, are listening in. The Best of Investing is actually a radio show that has been around since August 2010, and it airs every Saturday on Fox News Radio, 9:10 a.m. at 1 p.m. Now, we're not a political show. We're strictly business, so everyone will be happy with that. We'll have various speakers, guest speakers, attorneys, accountants, economic advisors, business coaches. I have great co-hosts with me, Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money and Brian Burke of Praxis Capital. Now, the cool thing about this is that you're actually getting to see scenes behind the scenes. If you're going to talk to Mark, don't do this. What you do is you pivot like this.
Like that. You've got to keep your mouth near the microphone.
So we all have headphones on because we're recording a radio show that is going to be airing on the air on radio. But in addition, you get to see what happens during the commercial breaks, how we prepare for the next segment. And Mark, how do you determine the interest rate you charge your borrowers?
Oh, okay.
Until they start to crack.
Like if I like their face.
Yeah, I like that. It's a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of levity, because I like to try to throw a little bit of humor in there, because just business by itself sometimes gets a little boring, so you got to always kind of break things up.
So Stefan, for like gold jewelry,
no, remember his name is John.
Actually, John.
Stefan, yeah, but he goes by John.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Sorry about that.
My mother's confused.
We're going to cut to our first commercial break, and just so the idiots.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't really say that. Remember, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing. This is the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. For those of you listening for the first time, here's our format. A few guys sitting around a bar having drinks without the drinks, talking business with you, the audience listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm joined in the studio with my co-host, Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's premier private lender. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco, and today's trivia theme is death on TV shows, episodes where an actor was knocked off. I figured, hey, since we have an attorney as a guest, why not?
Well, it's not sports, and Brian isn't here today.
No, exactly. Too bad. He would have liked this. Okay, the vacations are free, and their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. Our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. Also, if you want to record our show in the future, if you can't listen live, go to a website called dar.fm, type in The Best of Investing, and listen to our show at your leisure. Another reminder about World Wraps in Corte Madera and Santa Clara is still giving our listeners a free smoothie with purchase of a wrapper bowl if you mention The Best of Investing. Go there for lunch today. Best wraps in town. And at one of the commercial breaks, I'm going to announce the winner to this special trivia contest sponsored by the beautiful Sonoma Mission Inn. It is a fantastic place. Mark, do you remember it?
Absolutely. Yes, I've stayed there with my wife. It was lovely.
Okay. And today's guest is Peter Ligarius, an attorney who specializes in class action suits. Peter, welcome to the Best of Investing.
Thank you very much, Edward.
Hey, so Peter, how does one go about starting a class action suit, and why do most people start one to begin with as opposed to just, say, file a lawsuit against a company they feel has wronged them?
Well, class actions is a procedural advice which is available in courts for cases that are close to each other with a large number of people having the same problem having occurred. It's efficient for the courts, it's efficient for the individuals involved, and it saves a lot of wear and tear from all concerned if it's done properly.
Okay, and I'm going to put you on the hot seat a little bit here because, we all hear about these class action suits and the attorneys making millions of dollars, and the people who are parties to it get, $10, $5, $20. How do you justify that?
Well, you have to look at the individual cases to determine what's happening, but all attorneys, in almost all instances, when attorney's fees are awarded to the attorneys who handled for a plaintiff in a class action, who handled the action, a court will be approving those attorney's fees. And if you take a big picture look, you can compare the defense side of these cases, where the defense lawyers are typically being paid at a very high rate the entire way through the case, and the plaintiff's lawyers are often on a contingency fee basis. And these cases may take years with enormous amount of activity and large numbers of attorneys being involved to bring the case to fruition. And at the very end, if they reach a settlement or win a trial, they will petition the court for fees, and the court will review what the attorneys did, what their hourly rate is, and approve a fee application.
Well, I guess it's not like one attorney who is going around to 200 different participants, right? I mean,
Or more like 2,000.
or 2,000 or 50,000, depends on how large the case is.
The cases can be very large, and one of the problems you pointed out with your example here is the fact that sometimes there are very small amounts involved that an individual's not going to want to pursue a case and hire an attorney and be able to pay the attorney to proceed, but the violation may be going on and harming a large number of people, and it would otherwise not be redressed. And through the class action vehicle, when companies misbehave, this is a possible way to get redress.
Well, okay, here's an example. I'm looking at a check that I received a month ago. I don't even remember being a part of this class action suit.
Yeah.
And it's a check for $18.04, and it has to do with foreign currency fee litigation settlement. So apparently what had happened was I had traveled to Europe back, 5-6 years ago, and I must have used an ATM card or a Visa card,
Yeah.
and I got charged a little bit for that, and maybe I got charged too much. Well, I can see your point where it's like, am I going to go sue the company for, and I have no idea if I should have gotten more than $18 or less than $18, but am I going to hire an attorney for that?
So I guess it's really a vehicle for addressing issues like that, where the dollar amount on an individual basis is way too small, but without the class action lawsuit opportunity there, then the public really has no easy way to go after, say, one of the big corporations if they are doing fees that essentially have an unfairness to them.
Yeah, let's take this example that you just mentioned to us about the bank fees, or the credit card fees actually is what you mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the case, and I'm going to make assumptions, but let's say that the company did not provide disclosure and have approval to charge a foreign currency fee, and yet they decided to do it and charge all these fees, and the individuals weren't contractually obligated to pay it. You went to Europe and you said that the amount was how much?
Well, the check is $18.04. The actual case here apparently was $49.5 million was the settlement. Now, I don't know if it should have been $100 million or if it was $10 million. But they settled for $49 million and over $13.5 million.
Well, we don't know any of the facts or the name of the case, but if it settled for that amount, it may have been a larger amount that was at issue, and
Sure.
they reached a settlement. But if it's $49 million and your amount was $18, that's an awful lot of people that had this happen to them. And
Unless it was $45 million in attorney's fees.
Yeah, no, it was $13 million in attorney's fees.
Oh, okay, you know that.
So it was a roughly $50 million settlement, of which $13.5 million go.
What the public's not hearing about in these class action suits is there's a defense lawyer, and I shouldn't say lawyers, it's usually law firms, and it may be several of them defending the case, and how much did they spend and get paid? And the question is not should we have this vehicle, but are the cases meritorious? And are there real claims here? And I think that if you look around and see enough of these cases, there are many cases that would not be prosecuted without the class action vehicle. Payday lending is an area where there's a lot of people that have problems in it. Employment litigation, there's a lot of issues there that are being brought in class actions. So should the individual consumer and groups of consumers have a right to have the law enforced? And this is a method to do that.
So I guess the first thing they do is they go to the court and ask them to certify it as a class action.
When a class action suit is brought by a lawyer as a class action, they have to allege what the class consists of. Everyone that used a certain credit card internationally and was charged these fees, and then they have to explain why the same issue predominates for the members of the class. That's called class certification.
Yeah, because not every circumstance could be the same, but there has to be enough similarities.
That's right, and courts will, early on in the case, and a lot of time and effort is spent, will certify or not certify. Sometimes courts decline to bring the case as a class action, and then the individual's left with a lawsuit, probably for a smaller amount of money, and it may not proceed for anybody.
Yeah, I was going to say, did the attorneys at that point walk away and say, "Sorry, Mr. Jones, your $60
well,
damage is not worth it"?
It's a relationship between that attorney and that client, and they have to make a decision at that point. But there are cases where a court declines to certify. There are a lot of other cases where courts do certify. And then behind all of these pleadings as to whether or not it should be a class, there is also the actual lawsuit claim. In this case, something about the foreign currency charges was the allegation, I take it.
So what is that first step? I mean, somebody decides, I've been wronged, goes and sees an attorney, and the attorney says, "Gosh, you're probably one of a million people this happened to." I mean, is that kind of the procedure?
Individuals come to their lawyers with a problem, and through the discussion, they may determine that the problem affects a large number of people, and it's essentially the same problem. With consumer contracts, most consumers sign identical contracts with large corporations, so if there is a problem, it may be affecting a
arbitrate it first.
But there can be problems with consumer contracts that'll never be certified as a class. For example, if they misbill your electric bill, and it was just a mistake for your particular unit, that's not going to be a class problem.
And then I'm assuming, because it's a pretty specialized area of the law, the average attorney shouldn't try to handle it, unless he's specialized in that area.
Well, law is a very complex practice these days. And you mentioned that I am a specialist in class suits. My firm does class action lawsuits. I'm actually specialized by the State Bar of California in franchise and distribution law. There isn't a specialization for class action litigation itself.
Okay. Wow. Well, we are going to cut to our first commercial break, and here is the first trivia question. And again, remember, it's Death on TV, where the actor was knocked off on the show. All right. In the 1980s, and we're talking law, so let's talk with the old 1980s TV show, L.A. Law. How did Rosalind Shea die? You have to know the show in order to know this. The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. On the 1980s TV show, L.A. Law, how did Rosalind Shea die? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and phone number. Make sure you spell it and say it slowly, please, and we will be right back. Okay.
kept thinking we were running along on that one, but
We did. I didn't forget to start the this clock.
I kept looking at my thing as it was approaching 10 minutes, thinking, okay, well, I shouldn't ask a question because we're going to be, and then it kept going and going. And
Yeah. So let me see here. Let me see what.
So if one runs too long, you gotta shorten up the next one?
Yeah. we
Welcome.
have-
You're listening to the
So,
best of
hold on a second
investing.
here.
This is the show where we. I'm gonna see how. Oh, okay. We ended it. Okay, having fun?
Oh, yeah, this is,
Alright.
you lost your cough finally.
Yeah, I can't do that on the air. That doesn't
Yeah.
work very well. Okay, so file.
I remember a timeshare, and it turns out a group of California residents who felt they were being wronged by the billing. got
Yeah, because in this case, you're the one who's being asked for money versus the other way around.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Okay. All right. After you finish with your question, I'll get into the Honda.
Okay.
So that was- okay, ready?
Yep.
So I'm going to start this thing. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this first trivia question, and the theme is death on TV episodes. In the 1980s, there was a TV show called L.A. Law. How did Rosalind Shea die? Now, I'm not going to ask the attorney first, because I don't know if he knows it. Mark, do you know
That
the
was
answer?
my favorite show back then, but you know, I'm thinking, was it cancer?
No. Do you remember?